Alright, hello my wonderful students. This is the Foldable 3 and possibly the last foldable, page 3 of the section 6.1, Roots and Radical Expressions. And I left you another cheat sheet to go after, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. This is the cheat sheet I left you guys. This is x to the fourth power and the quartic root. So the fourth root of a number as well. So go ahead and pause the video right now for a second, or however long you need to copy this down, because it's another cheat sheet to help you guys out while we're working these out. Alright, welcome back. Now we're going to go ahead and work on these two first problems, and then that's going to be it for this video. So we see this here is a square root. So we got to find the two numbers that multiply to equal 81, and they're the same. So remember, since we have this root here given to us already, and all we're asked to do is simplify, so we have to use the absolute value symbol when needed. And every time we have an even number, we're gonna have to use it. So this here I know for a fact already, because I memorized my cheat sheet now by now. But this is the square root of 9 times 9. And in order to pair these up, because remember, whenever you have let's do a little side note here. Whenever you have a square root of an x squared, these reduce and is left with x. So I'm going to try to do something similar to this here. So I know that x to the fourth is just x squared. Let me write this so I have a little bit more space. So because we have to multiply it still, times x squared times another x squared, and we'll extend it a little bar over. So now I know that these can reduce with this as well. But this doesn't really have that option, right? It's just 9 times 9. But we can rewrite 9 times 9 as 9 squared times x squared times x squared. So now each of these things that are here can be taken out. Alright, so we're going to get the absolute value of the plus or minus 9 times x times x. But the absolute value would change, this would stay positive, and that would become positive because the absolute value. So we're left with 9, and x times x is our x squared. Alright, so that means that 9x squared, so therefore 9x squared is our real squared root of the square root of 81x to the fourth. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to this next one over here. So I want to do it this way before, because I know the last foldable was a little crowded, so I think this way you guys have a little bit more space to see what's going on. And we're going to see from now. We might have to do a little bit more pages because of it, but I think it makes it seem a little easier. Okay, so we'll go to this one here. So now we have a cube root. So we have a cube root. So remember, I know this one doesn't have it. This one doesn't have it. But this is actually a square root, so we normally actually would put a 2 here. But since we use it so often that we just ended up just making this symbol here, the square root. So whenever we're doing something that's different, we'd have a number here. So 3 would be a cube root, 4 would be the quartic root, 5 would be the quintic root, and it just, so on and so on. So we're going to have a cube root for this one. So just as this one here worked out for the square root of a square, this one's also going to be very similar, but when you have a cube root, it's going to be the cube root of x to the third. These would reduce out, and then you'd be left with x. Well, depending too, because if this is negative, you would have a negative, but since it's positive, it's a positive. So similarly here, we'd have g to the 6th power. We'd have to make this 2 copies of g to the third in order to take them out. But first thing we gotta do is deal with this pesky 8. But I know that 8, because I remember my cheat sheet for cubes, that 8 is actually 2 times 2 times 2, which if I come down here is actually my 2 cubed, because they're cube roots. And then I have my g to the 6th, and I said I was going to split it up as g to the 3rd times g to the 3rd, which makes it easy to reduce out of the cubic root. So now I just go ahead and take everything out. We don't need the absolute value for this one because it's a cubic function, or sorry, it's an odd function, odd radical. We only do it with our even radicals. So what's left over is 2 times g times g, which gives us 2g squared. 2g squared. So therefore, 2g squared is our cubic, our real cubic root of the cube root of 8g to the 6th.